You're not going to exist much longer if you don't stick up for yourselves. And you are clearly targets of an orchestrated campaign. There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop,
Andrew Tate explodes on completely foolish Piers Morgan over wokeness attacking white people around the world, as Andrew Tate does not hold back against Piers Morgan, who seems to be blind to the brainwashing of the left's hatred for whites, and hits him with the reality that wokeness is trying to eradicate the white race altogether. Let's get in.
Mentally ill. Every single person who believes they can get in and out of a bank with money without getting caught has some kind of mental disorder. They're all mentally ill. I don't care about mentally ill. And here's the final nail in the coffin to your asinine argument, sir. Why did he not stab anyone else on the bus? Because he was already on a bus with 4 people and he didn't touch them. If he's so mental, if he can't control his mind, why didn't he stab any of those? Is it because everyone else on the bus was black? The first white person he sees, he kills and says, I got that white girl. And you don't believe that's enough proof for a court of law to determine that was a racially motivated attack?
it wouldn't be enough proof at the moment for a court of law. No, absolutely, I believe that. But that's because I've covered many court cases and you haven't. No, as a journalist, I just prefer. I prefer in waiting for more information.
Black people on the bus. I think this person, who I will agree was probably deranged, although I give no merit to that, although it does not garner any sympathy from me, he clearly had something wrong with him. This person was radicalized by a leftist media machine, which blames every single thing on white people, which says that white people are the devils, that everything white people have done is wrong, that their entire history is wrong, and that they deserve the bad things that happen to them.
You have no idea. You have no idea that he
demonize an entire race endlessly. We're going to end up having a few idiots who act on that.
But Andrew,
and that's what this man did because of the media. The leftist media are complicit in what happened to this poor young girl.
Actually, you have absolutely no idea if anything you've just said is remotely true.
I have absolute certainty that it is a fact.
None of it. It's not a fact. If it was a fact, we'd all be...
It is a fact.
No, it's not a fact yet. That's the point. This is my point. Again,
the
off you go.
Media has done nothing but
making a series of assumptions.
For as long... Okay, all right, if you want to be smart, let me prove you wrong.
I'm not being smart. I'm just saying it's not a fact.
Once again, this is... Piers, I'm well-versed in you by now. This is easy. Let me ask you a question. If there's an Islamic terror attack, like the London bombings, and then Abu Hamza, Mr. Hook, Captain Hook, he ends up going to jail for a very long time. He didn't blow anything up, but no, he was talking about how Islamic terror attacks should happen because he believes that people deserve them because of his personal worldview. He was instigating so that some idiot would listen to him with less brains than him and then go and murder. What is the difference between that and what the leftist mainstream media is doing by constantly demonizing white people constantly and endlessly?
Well,
there's always going to be some
who's
mentally impaired
Allow me to respond.
Who's going to act upon
Allow me to respond.
We're locking up Islamic extremists for discussing violence against people who are not Muslim. We should also be locking up anybody who is demonizing an entire race, demonizing all of their history, and demonizing them to the point where they cannot get on a bus. They can't get on public transport without worrying about being murdered. And I have a future on this planet where I'm not here. There's a future on this planet where my white daughters exist and I am gone. And they will be victims and targets unless white people start standing up for themselves, standing up for their beliefs, and standing up for their nations. Because you're the only race which is being erased. You're the only one. Nobody is invading and erasing any other race. Only you white people. And you seem to sit there and wonder, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that. It doesn't matter. The world is tribal. You're not going to exist much longer if you don't stick up for yourselves. And you are clearly targets of an orchestrated campaign. There is a campaign which is designed to demoralize and eradicate you. And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question.
I don't know about you folks, but I keep seeing more stories in the news of white people simply being ended for really no good reason. I mean, you had the, stabbing on the subway by that guy that Andrew Tate's talking about, Charlie Kirk. I mean, you just had him. For years and years, there has been a demonization of anything white across America, across the West, across Europe. It's only all the white countries that all, Muslims, third world countries, has everyone else being shoved into against the will of the people. And that's why you see MAGA risen up. That's why you see reform in the UK. That's why you see, people rising up in Spain, in the Netherlands, in Germany, in France, in all of these countries, because it's only us. It's only the, quote unquote, white countries that it's okay to simply import everyone else against the will of the people at the expense of the people, no matter what happens to those very citizens of those nations. It's only us. You don't see that happening anywhere else because nowhere else would allow it. So this isn't an accident that the governments and the politicians are allowing this to happen. No, it's intentional, because that's the only way it could possibly happen, that the EU would allow this into all of their countries, that Joe Biden would allow tens of millions of people into America. It is the woke left that just seems to hate anything white in any capacity and will call anything that it says about anybody else racist, transphobic, whatever. But it's so easy. It's so normal to say anything terrible and horrible about white people. It is two systems of justice for minorities versus white people in the West. And Andrew Tate's right. Unless we stand up as a people, like, they've made this a fight on us. They've made us have to stick up for our own borders because they won't do it. We don't have a choice. And if we don't do what we need to do, handle our business, retake control of our countries, this will be the end of, America, the West, Canada, all of these places that are the most advanced in the world. All of these places will crumble under the weight of mass migration as we lose control of our own nations by being invaded from within. Hit that like button, notification bell if you're enjoying the video. I appreciate it, and let's get back in.
And there are a few idiots who listen to this campaign and act on it savagely in real time on your public transport systems that you pay for with your taxes.
When you stop shouting.
Let me ask you a question, Pierce.
Well, why don't you just stop shouting for a moment and let me respond?
The majority of taxes to import white people who don't work to replace them? No other race on the planet would commit suicide to this level besides the white man.
Yeah.
And I'm here to encourage the white man to stand up for himself.
Well, since you mentioned taxes, you could explain why the police had to seize more than £2 million from your brother for failing to pay tax on revenue from your online businesses.
Great way to change subject. Why did the British state try and steal my money? Well, considering the British state, the Foreign Office meddled in a foreign country's prosecution service and wrote them a letter and asked the intelligence services of Romania to get me off the internet. I guess, since I'm a national security threat, all bets are off. Of course they stole my money. Of course they do. They do anything they can to me because they consider me the enemy.
But you avoided paying tax. So you raise the issue of being a taxpayer.
They do.
Well, you raise the issue of being a taxpayer.
They want to get rid of the man who talks about the problem.
All right.
And if the UK doesn't have enough issues. At some
point, you need to stop talking.
Let me ask you a question, sir. All of the knife crime that's happening in London, all of the blood that's running on the streets, considering you can't even wear a nice watch in that city anymore, is it white people or black people who are doing the stabbing? I'm half white, half black. You can't offend me. Just tell me the truth.
And who are most of the victims?
Who's doing all the killing?
And who are most of the victims?
Well, some of them are black. Some of them are white. It doesn't matter.
Actually, the vast majority are black. So your whole argument, the whole argument you've been shouting about, the whole argument you've been shouting about for the last 10 minutes, you've just exposed yourself as being a misleading argument.
Absolutely not. I don't care if black people kill only blacks. I don't care if black people only kill Chinese. Black people shouldn't be killing. There is an issue within the black community which is leading them towards violence. We can discuss whether it's genetic. We can discuss whether it's cultural. We can discuss whether it's systemic. We can discuss that. But it is asinine and ignorant to pretend that there is not a culture within the black community which is leading to violence. There clearly is. There clearly is. And that needs to be addressed. I say this as a half black man myself. My father was black. Half of my family is black. But I'm not blind.
Let me know what you think, folks, but I think that was a poor argument from Piers. Let me know what you think down below, but I think that was a weak argument from Piers Morgan. Like, the whole point is who's committing the crimes? Who's the one hurting other people, right? Like, the victims are just the victims no matter who they are. The problem is the criminals and how to stop the criminals. And I believe in America, it's 46% of all homicides committed in the United States come down to 3% of the population, and that is black males between 16 and 49. Like it is terrible, and it is the result of fatherless households. It is the result of feminism, of wokeism, of the breaking of the families that has allowed this to happen, and it's running rampant in all sorts of different places. So who cares who the victims are? The whole point is we should just stop having victims altogether. I mean, it's everybody in the country together, right? So who cares who they are or who they look like? The point is you have a majority of violent people that are doing an enormous amount of damage, and you have to actually look at the problem if you want to fix it. And the entire mainstream media refuses to look at this. And if you even bring it up, you are accused of being a racist, and every other word is for simply looking at an objective fact. And all the while, innocent people are losing their lives because they do not want to face the problem and do anything about it. But folks, thanks for watching. Let me know down below what you thought about what Andrew Tate had to say, exploding on ignorant, foolish Piers Morgan in this clip. Thanks again, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.